Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is a Churchill Gun Carrier. It's probably the worst of all the tank destroyers in the game, but we'll discuss that later. This one is a Tier 6 British tank destroyer. It's located on the south spawn of Fisherman's Bay and it's under the command of Citron01. Now you can buy one of these if you've unlocked a Tier 6 vehicle on the British tech tree, because it's in the collector's tab and you have to earn a tank that's similar tier in order to buy one of these. But once you've bought it, then obviously you've got to upgrade it, and well, that can be a fun experience in this what is potentially one of the worst tanks destroyers in the game, but maybe not quite. Some people quite like it, and they like it because it's got a fantastic gun. In fact, you've got a choice of 3 guns. The 3-inch is the one that it comes with straight away stock, and then you can upgrade that if you can to a 3.7-inch gun. That does 230 alpha, and then the top gun is the 32 pounder, which has got 280 alpha. Now you have got 10 degrees of gun depression, which means ridgeline fighting is possible, but, and here's a big but, a nice shot into the T52 for 294, which of course is a high roll. The problem is that the position of the gun on this tank, you may notice it's very low down in the actual vehicle, which means when you poke a ridgeline, it can have bad consequences, because the front of the vehicle, the top of the vehicle, is going to become visible before the gun does, and people can shoot that. Very accurate gun. He's taken out the T78. He's looking around for another target. There is an AMX 12 ton up there somewhere. I can't believe that's the only tank in that region. We've only killed 2 tanks on the enemy team so far, so I suspect there is some more tank destroyers over there. Okay, well, he's looking around for new targets to hit, and got an SU-100 in the centre area. That's the Soviet tank destroyer. Can have the 122mm gun. Now the reload time is normally 9.11 seconds by the book, but you can see Citron's managed to get it down to 8.44. Our friend in the T78 has spotted the AMX 12 ton defending at the back up the no, he's looking, he's checking. Can that T78 get the guy? Well, the Arty got him instead, I think. No, T78 did kill him. The Arty helped. That was it. So, what can I tell you about this tank destroyer? It's based on the Churchill tank, and the British government put in an order for 100 of them after the fall of France. Nice shot there on the enemy gun carrier. Yeah, they put in an order for 100, and 24 were built virtually immediately. They thought that Germany was going to invade, and so since they'd lost so many tanks in France, they needed something to fight the German tanks off when they invaded. But it didn't come about, because of course Operation Sea Lion was dependent on the Germans getting control of the skies, and they didn't. They failed to because of the Battle of Britain. British fighters kept the Germans, well, they kept coming over, and they kept getting shot down when they did, because there was almost a never-ending supply of British fighters to actually knock them out of the sky. In fact, it wasn't the case. The British were getting new fighters built, and they were coming in, but they were losing pilots, and it was only when they actually approved the foreign pilots, the Polish pilots, the Canadians, the Belgians, the French, it was only when they were approved to fly the British fighters that they suddenly had enough personnel to actually carry on and win the Battle of Britain. Now, he was spotted there, but the enemy don't appear to be paying too much attention to him. We know there's an enemy Hummel in the back of the map because he's been spotted, but now he's going to be able to go to town on these guys in the town. Yeah, there goes the Easy 8. You see, it's a very powerful gun, but a very accurate one. It's also got a very quick aim on the enemy. Now, he did get damaged by both Hummels, but the shot from the VK was blocked. Now, if he stays there, the VK will just keep highlighting him for for enemy Arty, and there's one of them, so we can take that guy out straight away, get rid of him. Fast aim. Didn't get the kill though. And it looks like our Arty's on the ball because the M44 just killed the Hummel. Professional courtesy and all that. You take out your opposite number if you can. Thank you very much, Mr. VK. Just drove straight through the field of fire. Unfortunately, the Arty decided to hit us again. It was the M44 this time, and the VK is gone, which means that the M44 is going to lose sight of us after this last shot. We lost the number 45 hit points, but we are now unspotted, which means that the enemy Arty is going to have to be guessing where we are. And as long as we move away from the spot where we were last hit, the enemy's not going to get any more shots on us. KV2 hits him using the bush mechanic, so he doesn't know precisely where we are, but he knows the general direction. We haven't got a shot on the Cromwell, but we definitely can hit that T150. Didn't penetrate. That's awkward. He's going for the weak area, the driver's port, but he has to hit the side instead, but he tracks the guy. And we're now picking up damage assist, I think. Or was there any assist? No, there wasn't any assist off that one. There's a nice shot there into the side of the T150. It's a low roll. Can he get another kill shot? He's a one shot if we can get the shell on target. No, he's hiding behind the building, but he's been hit badly now. Tog. Always go for Tog. Such a big vehicle, it's easy to hit, but he was spotted, and you know what that means, the M44 will be on him. So he's decided to pull back quickly and get into cover, and good job he did, because the M44, yeah, it looks like the enemy Hummel tried to fire the one where he was, and the M44 got it right and put the shell on top of him, or near him, looking for that Tog again. The enemy has only got a Tog and a T78. Now the Tog's over on the east side of the map, north of the city, or north of the town, but we can't see him yet. We've only got a KV2 down in the town, but we've got another one coming in, and there's the T78, right at the back of the map. He pulls back, he's hiding behind the building, we can get a shot. Oh, it just zipped past his rear. It looks like Arty just hit him as well. He probably won't be there anymore, but yeah, that one was just fired wildly in that direction. Can he get a shot in the Tog? No, because he's gone behind the buildings again. Go back to the T78, it's an easier shot. And the T78 gets wiped out by our M44. That guy's really on the ball. And now we can hit that Tog as hard as we can. He's moving position, because now the enemy Arty over on the east side of the map have lost their spotter, and now he's in the position where he can hit the Tog right in his rear. Pulls back to use the bush mechanic. Nicely done. Only takes a second or so to do. Now he put that round into the turret. It's a low roll. I am presuming that he has actually got the top gun. I think he has. Actually, yes, he has. 280 Alpha. Yep, that's the 32 pounder. The Tog's gone behind the building. Okay, we're going to race into town now because he's a one-shot. And of course, remember, the Arty are over on this side of the map. In fact, B2's driving towards them as fast as he can. They must be over near the water. Still can't see the Tog. The Tog is a one-shot. He's 5 hit points now. You could nudge him and he'd die. So they only ever produced, in the end, 50, and there goes the Tog 2. They only produced 50 in total. The British cancelled the contract after a while. They realised they needed Churchill tanks rather than Churchill gun carriers, and it never actually saw service, which is kind of disappointing because you'd like to think it would actually be quite successful. The enemy Hummel is about to die. I'd shoot through the truck actually if I was you, because it would still go into him. One shot, he's dead. Now, can he get a Pascucci's and kill the M44? It'd be nice if he could. He's loaded. And he takes the guy out with one shot. And that's Pascucci's medal, and it wins the game for Citron01. Let's have a look at the end of battle stats. And here's the end of battle stats for the Churchill Gun Carrier, played by Citron01. He managed to get an ace tanker in that game. He also managed to get a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. He managed 8. A duelist for taking down 2 tanks who damaged him. A fighter badge for getting at least 4 kills. He ended up with 4 exactly. And a fire for effect for doing more damage than hit points to his own vehicle. He got a Pascucci's medal. He took out the Hummel and the M44 to earn that. And he got a Confederate for hitting more of the enemy than anyone else on his team. At least 6 tanks subsequently taken out by other teammates. As well as the high caliber for dealing the most damage in the game overall. At least 1,000 hit points of damage and 20% of the enemy hit pool. Let's have a look at the team score and see where he got. Well, there you go, right at the top of the table with 2,952 hit points. The next high scorer was the enemy M44, the guy he killed right at the end, who did 1,519 hit points. He was actually very good at aiming at Citron01. He got some shots well close to him, and close enough to actually do substantial damage more than once. Well, next highest scorer was the 40 TP Habitua, which, well, I think somebody described recently, as somebody very well known, as probably one of the worst medium tanks at tier 6. And I'd agree with that, really, because even though it's got a 90mm gun, it's as slow as a slug and just as pretty. 1,465 hit points of damage went to that guy. When it came to kills, he's got the highest number of those, again with 4 kills. 3 kills goes to the M44 on his own team and the AMX 12-ton. And the only person on the enemy team who managed to get 3 kills was the Hummel. And after that, it was their Churchill Gun Carrier with only 2 kills. When it came to base XP, he's highest on that one, so he's got the top in all 3 columns. 1,160, which is enough for an ace tanker. 819 went to the 40 TP Habitua, and the M44 managed 765. He fired 21 rounds of 32-pounder ammunition, got 13 direct hits and 11 penetrations. Yeah, a few of his shots didn't hit exactly where he wanted to, although this tank is very accurate and it does aim very quickly, so it's surprising when shots don't go exactly where you want them to. And in fact, as you saw, one of those shells zipped past the rear of a T-78, which was very unfortunate because he was aiming at the right guy. It's just the shell veered to the right instead. 1 splash damage on the enemy as well, 2,952 hit points of damage, of which 1,285 were at more than 300 meters. He did, a fair amount of long-range shooting in this game. Received 1 actual hit and also 1 non-penetration and 6 hits by way of splash damage. The actual hit was the VK2801, if I remember correctly. The non-pen, I can't remember who actually fired that one at him, but I think it was one of the tanks that hit him in the centre. It may have been the VK again, yes. And 6 hits by way of splash damage. Well, the enemy Arty really was going to town on him. They knew that he was the most dangerous of the opponents because of the fact that, well, he did have that big 32-pounder, which is very useful. But, of course, this tank is so desperately slow, it's very easy to take out, which is why Arty tends to focus on Churchill gun carriers, because they think it's big, it's slow, it's easy to hit. It's basically the British version, tank destroyer version of the TOG. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet for Arty. 110 hit points of damage blocked by armour. 1 enemy vehicle spotted, 11 enemy vehicles damaged, 4 killed, and 575 hit points of damage assistance. He earned 35,333 credits from the game, got 15,900 from battle payments, a total of 74,200 altogether. After repair, ammunition, resupply, consumables, he took away a profit of 31,084 credits. He received 1,160 XP times 2 for the first victory, 261 for playing in a platoon, and took away 3,741 experience points altogether. So he says the game with the most broken tier 6 tank. I'm not sure it is the most broken tier 6 tank. I think although it has got a very, very good gun, which is a real killer if you get the enemy close enough, or even at long range for that matter. The problem with this tank really is the fact that the gun is mounted way too low in the hull, which makes it very vulnerable if it tries to use a ridgeline to attack the enemy. Again, its slowness actually lets it down on many occasions, because if you're all alone in this tank up against a little light tank, Well, you're not going to be chasing the light tank around the battlefield and back. The only thing you can do under the circumstances is either defend your own cap or cap at the enemy end. If you cap at the enemy end, the little light tank will eventually reset you or keep resetting you. And if you're defending your own cap, well, you are so big, it's very easy for the light tank to work out where you are. Once they have found you, then they can go to town on you there as well. So it does have its disadvantages, this tank, especially the fact that it only got a 10-degree arc of fire, 5 degrees either side of the center line. So yeah, you're constantly turning the vehicle, and when you turn the vehicle, you have to re-aim at the target. Remember, that's one of the problems of narrow arcs of fire, means that you're constantly re-aiming on the enemy. The other problem, of course, was the crew members of this tank were up front in the vehicle, and if the vehicle got hit, you lose crew members very quickly, and as a consequence of that, means you'll be using the first aid kit and the repair kit quite often. So the Churchill Gun Carrier is fun. Wargaming sought to put it into the collector's tab because I suppose they didn't want to force people to have to go through this to get all the way up the table towards the better tank destroyers. But it's kind of quirky. Some people like it, some people don't. But it's up to you whether or not you actually get one. You can buy one if you've got a Tier 6 British already. So if you're up to the FE304, yes, you can buy a Churchill Gun Carrier. The question I would ask is, why? It's a lot of players, a lot of content creators, especially Quickie Baby, regard this as one of the worst tank destroyers simply because it is so big, so sluggish, got such a low gun, and it's so vulnerable. So yeah, I would seriously question why one would buy one, but some people like it, and Citron does, so he gets good results in it. If you enjoyed that replay, please give this video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And thank you for watching.